Stress-related non-communicable disease is a huge concern of mental health disorder to primary care practitioners and to our NHS. The content of this video is only for educational purpose. If you resonate with any of the signs and symptoms, I highly recommend you to consult a mental health professional, either a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist, for further diagnosis and intervention support. Hey friends, welcome to this education session. Thanks for stopping by and clicking this video and making your mental health a priority. I'm Devi Sundar, previously known as Shakila Devi Perumal. I'm the founder of Lung Rehab Voyage and Mindwise. I specialize in pulmonary rehab, also known as respiratory care rehab, and counselling and psychotherapy. I'm in practice for the past 20 years. I'm recognized as a Fellow of Higher Education in 2019. I produce monthly educational videos, free content, in order to enhance your knowledge and create the awareness of different conditions in mental and lung health. And my mission is to make you aware of those conditions and also to make you aware of the effective management strategies and interventions available for your support and care. If you're new to this channel, please consider to subscribe to the channel, hence you get notified whenever I publish any educational content. According to a study released by the World Economic Forum, the global cost of 5 non-communicable diseases will reach over $47 trillion over the next 20 years. The diseases include cardiovascular disease, diabetes, mental illness, chronic respiratory disease, and cancer. The report also informs us 70% of the lost output from the non-communicable disease are due to the mental illness and cardiovascular disease. And mental illness alone accounts for $16 trillion of the total $47 trillion anticipated expenditure of the non-communicable disease. In 2014, it is estimated that in England, 18.9% of the adults aged between 16 to 64 years have at least one common mental health disorder like anxiety and depression. And this has been on rise from the 1993 to 2024. There is a huge surge in England. And as you can see, the data is only from England. We cannot predict how much could be the huge burden of this disease of the whole nation of United Kingdom. And the data from the Global Burden Disease in 2016 informs us 21.3% of the total morbidity burden in England is related to the mental and substance misuse disorder. And these two are grouped together. Taken separately, following conditions are related to the top ranked 15 leading causes for mental health disorder. They are depression, drug use, anxiety, autistic spectrum disorders, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. Looking at the data, it is very well represents and underestimated data on the disease burden of the mental health due to a number of reasons, including the overlap with the neurological disorder and grouping of the self-harm as a separate category. Of all the mental health problems emerge before the age of 14 and the 3/4 by the age of 25. Poor social and emotional well-being in young children can lead to behavioral and developmental problems, and later in childhood leading to severe depression, anxiety, self-harm, and other poor mental health outcomes. Improving children and young people's mental well-being will have a positive effect on their whole cognitive development, learning, physical health, and their mental health, social and economic prospects in adulthood. We have to develop a resilient future for our nation. So, we are going to deal with some of the management tips in the next episode, how to handle especially the anxiety and high functioning anxiety. Stress is a perception of your brain to expose situation as threat, challenge, or opportunity. When stress exceeds the window of threshold, the health and performance suffer with loss and turns into an anxiety and depression disorder. There is a connection between detachments and stress. All mammals need to attach to food, metabolic energy, sexual object to preserve themselves and the herd community. As humans, We are the only being that attach to food, metabolic energy, sexual object, social object, parents, and future object. When these attachments are threatened or challenged, we experience stress, a fear conditioning response, which then falls into a trap of anxiety disorder. When these attachment is lost, then we fall into a trap of depression disorder. Now, let's talk about the neuropsychophysiology of our brain in reaction to any stress and anxiety. So, our brain is a simplified sensory organ, and it's also a motor organ because it has the analyzer effector response, which helps us humans to attach or separate or to avoid or approach any situations or people in our life. The amygdala, which is an emotional core center of our brain, sets the stage for any of the stress response driven by the fear conditioning. When I say fear, it is not something to get frightened about, that we are fearful about every situation. It's one of the good response in our body where it is useful in order to respond to any dangers. But fear of something which cannot be located falls into an anxiety category. So that's where people get trapped into the anxiety, not able to control, and the brain is conditioned to that pattern and again, and fall into an anxiety disorder. So, any of the sights, smells, or any sounds which is threatening that triggers our fear response in the amygdala center, which then is retained, the memory is retained in the hippocampus as a long term memory. And also, the amygdala then triggers a sympathetic response, triggering the adrenal gland response, increase in cortisol and sympathetic action. And physical response, what we sense as a result of this sympathetic hyperactivity, is all the conditioned response during those situations or the events or the people we are threatened about. Increase in muscle tension and increase respiratory rate, increase heart rate, increase blood pressure internally, and we become more of over analyzing and overthinking situations, becoming more very hypervigilant, and sleep disturbances and concentration avoidance. So these are the patterns, some of the patterns which I'm talking through. You might be familiar about it because you might have experienced in any part of your life stages, okay, to a situation or to an incident or a person. Yeah. And this is not going to be new information for you. But I'm also today going to inform you this inflammation, this actually the responses of physical responses due to the sympathetic hyperactivity. There is, besides this, there is also an increase in the inflammatory response in our brain. And as a result of this inflammatory response, there is an increased production of the white blood cells, thinking that our body is attacked by some danger and they have to protect us. Okay, so when anxiety, as I said before, there is no kind of real danger, but our brain thinks there is a danger. It is a faking of a danger. And if this inflammatory response is going to be triggered again and again, that is not good for our body. Getting this anxiety response for 10 to 20 seconds or for minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, which also increases our anger levels, some people, it's going to be causing a huge damage to our internal organ system. As a result, our internal body takes more time to regain the normal balance of that overload to our systems. So there are other diseases which are related, chronic diseases which are related to this frequent inflammatory response triggered as a result of the anxiety. Some of them are the cardiovascular disease because increased trigger of this inflammatory response each time you get anxious leads to atherosclerosis, okay, and which is one of the cause for the cardiovascular risk factors, okay, for any cardiovascular disease. And also the inflammatory response is a trigger for any cancer. Okay, so if you could imagine yourself, take a moment to think about your life process. How many times, how many occasions you become anxious or angry that has led to this inflammatory response and how much damage you cause to your body, it would be worth then investing your time in adhering to some management tips to our lifestyle to manage our emotional regulation and gain that homeostasis of the balance and control the anxiety episodes in a more healthier way. Now, let's now talk about the management tips. I'm going to give you 5 tips for anxiety management. So if you would like to note it down, you can very well welcome to do that. And so here I go. So the first one is self-awareness. Okay. So why is this important? Because we have conditioned our brain to this conditioned response. If you could relate to my other video earlier on the eye functioning anxiety, I've given an example of the anxiety cycle where a person fears the sight of a dog at a mile's distance and runs away from the dog with the trigger of the fear response, thinking the dog is a danger, and then when he runs away, he's safe, he's out of the sight. And what he sends signal to his mind is fine. Running away is protecting him and he is fine. So he repeats this pattern again and again. He gets more and more fearful when he sees the dog and the even the picture of a dog. Okay. To break the cycle, first of all, he needs to think about what are the triggers, okay? What is the real fact, okay? And what are its cognitive distortions, okay? And whether it is real, challenging your thought process, okay? That is very important. And I'll talk about challenging the thought process in a few seconds. So, this is about the self awareness. So, noting down your triggers, okay? Looking at the situation, what is real or fake, and noting the outcome, whether it is real or fake. Is the dog really a danger? Is it going to cause him harm, or is it just only his thinking? Okay, thinking about his cognitive distortion. And the second thing is about self-help tools. At the moments of anxiety, you might be very much stressed and with a sympathetic hyperactivity. So it is wiser to have some self-help toolbox like a sponge or a squeeze ball, which you feel that comfortable, that you're releasing that muscle tension with a gentle squeeze, or a box breathing. I can, somewhere around this video, there is my box breathing clip. So don't forget to click that link. So box breathing is one of the good technique where you just take a safe place, calm down, and practice this box breathing for 30 seconds. Okay, only 30 seconds of your time with your committed time. It helps you to calm down your sympathetic nervous system and activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Once you calm down, then your prefrontal cortex is activated, and that actually tells your amygdala center, hey, buddy, it's okay, you're safe, and we are good to go. And what is your next action? So think about in clear manner. What is that? The next step to take. Then the third tip is about challenging your cognitive distortions. I say about what is your real danger here. Okay, with the previous experiences or listening to others' story, the person might come to a conclusion with a mental filter or magnifying the situation or fortune teller attitude. So that might actually trigger his response reactions of running away, the partner's condition. Now he has to make himself more exposed to the true situation where his cognitive distortion is not real and how he can actually expose himself, get rid of this fear by exposing himself to the real effect of going near a dog. Okay, so in this dog example, maybe the person needs to expose to the dog picture and slowly to the real dog, and making the dog closer to him, and slowly it takes quite a little while. And while doing this, it is good to get a professional support, exposure therapy. We call it as in psychotherapy, where there is a professional support for your psychotherapist to monitor the situation and explain to you any of the tips for the management of your fear, as I explained earlier in this video. And they can also deal with other techniques and strategies how you can handle the situation. And now the fourth step is mind conditioning. When I say mind conditioning, as we are aware, amygdala is an emotion center and sets the stage for this fear response. We need to condition it by activating the prefrontal cortex, which tells, okay, hey, yeah, okay, okay. How you do this is by helping to strengthen your emotional muscles and the hippocampus muscle. Okay, so I put that into a muscle category because we are more into in this current world, we are more into helping to strengthen our physical appearance and toning up our physical appearance. We go to the gym and we take a support of the gym, but most of us actually don't commit to a mind conditioning program on a daily basis, which is very much required because the mind and body is very well connected. So it is worthwhile to focus on at least 20 minutes of mind conditioning programs, or some of the strategies like mindfulness, yoga, or even reflexology. Okay, so reflexology is going to help you to calm down all the nervous system, and there are some certain points in the base of our foot where it is helpful to massage those points, especially if you take your big toe. Okay, the base of the big toe has the points to the prefrontal cortex. So if you could actually massage it every day before the bedtime, if you prefer, that's a calmer time, and you're preparing yourself to relax, then it's the best time to choose. And take some oil, whatever oil you prefer, in your hand, and just put kneading movements onto the base of the big toe, and that is going to help you to stimulate your prefrontal cortex, and that is going to help you to improve your amygdala thinking process, activates all the happiness, calmness, because amygdala is not only of the fear, sadness, or anxiety, it's also a center which is having the happiness and excitement and that feeling of contentment. Okay, so you're going to help you to strengthen that part of your brain. Also, when I talk about the mind conditioning, there are other forms of mind conditioning exercises as well. Just sitting calmly and quietly for 20 minutes, not doing anything, is one form of mind conditioning, which I feel very comfortable to do on a daily basis. You don't need to focus on your breathing. Just be calm. Naturally, we are breathing, so you don't need to have that control. Only if you label it, only if you force something to do, our mind is trying to challenge and not able to control it. Okay, whether you are actually going to focus on your breathing or not, your breathing function is going to happen. Okay, that is the gift of being a human. Okay, so you don't need to control your breathing. And so 20 minutes without doing anything, sit calmly and quietly, that's going to help you as well. And the final tip is about the physical conditioning. Okay, as I said before, mind and body is very well connected. Physical activity also has evidence that it improves our serotonin and dopamine levels. And so, any form of physical activity, it need not be a hard gym workout, doing the HIIT program, indoor spinning, and those kind of stuff. Just a physical activity connecting to nature, or just a walk by yourself or with your friends. That might help you to condition your emotional well-being and also all those regulatory function patterns in your brain, and helping you to vent out with the nature. So that's another thing you can consider. So those are the simple 5 tips maintaining, managing your anxiety. When I say about physical activity in the final tip, Physical activity alone might not be sufficient without a good diet and a sleep. Okay, so healthy diet and a sleep is also very important alongside your physical activity for physical conditioning. I hope that this video is helpful for you, and please do like and share and subscribe to our channel for more informational videos on your emotional well-being and also lung function as well. So in the other few videos, I've given some lung function management tips for people with chronic respiratory disease. So don't forget to check those videos as well. And thank you for watching and your time. And I'll soon see you in next video. Bye for now.